What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to share with you how I lost over $100,000 in the worst investment that I've ever made. I'm also going to talk about the things that you can do to make sure this never happens to you and 5 steps to follow before you ever invest in anything. So with that being said, let's jump into it. All right, guys, I want to start by saying that it's taken me a while to feel comfortable sharing this story. 1, because it's super embarrassing. 2, because it's super painful. And 3, because when it happened, I was going through all of the crap with Maddie's cancer. And so it all was kind of hitting at once. I wasn't really worried or even thinking about this horrible investment that I made, and it ended up costing me dearly. But it's also something that I really am embarrassed about, and I want to make sure I talk you through it so that you don't make the same mistake. Now, stick with me because I'm going to tell that entire story, all the mistakes I made, the things I wish I did different, and the things you can do so you never lose that kind of money when investing. But before I do that, I did want to share the one other business mistake that I made that probably cost me even more. This mistake was not investing in real estate soon enough. I had literally years where I was thinking about it and I never pulled the trigger. And it's because I wasn't surrounded by the right people. I wasn't taking in the right information. And I was just not in a place where I was ever going to have the confidence to pull the trigger. This is the number one reason I created the Creative Cash Flow Club. It is a one-stop shop for new real estate investors, semi-experienced real estate investors, and experienced real estate investors. It puts you in a community of like-minded investors so that you can bounce ideas, get feedback, share deals, borrow money, and everything else that you could need. I also included my real estate investing course and so many other courses and resources, so you literally have everything at your fingertips for the step-by-step processes through any difficulties you're going to run into investing in real estate. Finally, I am extremely active in this community on a daily basis, answering questions. I'm going to be doing consistent trainings, question and answers, and I'm really trying to give you everything you could ever need wherever you are in your journey to continue to buy real estate or to get into that first deal. This is one of the last times I'm going to push this hard because never again will this community be this cheap. I wanted to get it up to a couple hundred members quickly, and so we cut the price way down to only $50 a month. To put things into perspective, my real estate investing course alone is for sale for $500. And you get access to that, tons of other courses, this entire community, trainings, question and answer, all of this stuff for $50 a month. So click the link in the description. We'd love to see you there. And now let's jump into my second biggest mistake, which was this horrible investment that I made. All right, now let's jump into the story. To set the stage, I was at a point in my life where I was crushing it in sales, making an awesome income. I had already bought tons of real estate and I had a lot of cash flow that was covering an awesome lifestyle of buying cars and houses and everything that I could want or need. And so I was coming from a place of arrogance and confidence. I had also been invited to this incredible event out in Japan by the person that actually pitched me on this investment. And so there was a high level of trust. That retreat that I went to was incredible. It helped blow up my business, my connections. And so I really felt like I owed this individual a lot because he did provide this incredible experience for me. So when he approached me with his new startup, I was flabbergasted to even be considered. I knew that he was connected with some really big people that had really big vision, that had already had huge success in other businesses. And I thought this was just going to be a home run. He was really excited not only about the product, but more importantly about the team that was built around the product because these were marketing geniuses. And he sold me super hard on what an incredible opportunity this could be and a massive upside it could have if things went right. Now, I'm kind of embarrassed to tell you the company or the product because looking back, I'm like, man, what were you thinking, Chandler? Not just because of the product or the vision or any of that, but this just wasn't your thing. You had no idea what you were doing. You jumped into it blindly purely because of this relationship. But here's the deal. This is the number one mistake I've seen people make. This person sells them on this new business idea, and because they feel like maybe they're a little bit lesser and this person has a ton of value to offer, they're like, man, he knows more than me about this kind of business, so I'm just going to trust him. I'm going to throw my money at him and say, hey, go make me millions because I think you're awesome. I'm going to talk about why later and the 5 steps you can follow to make sure you're investing properly, but this is not the correct way to invest. That doesn't mean, however, that people haven't found success this way. I can't tell you how many people I've met that have lost tons of money by investing this way. I've also met people that have gotten lucky that invested in a person they trusted and it paid off huge, and that's life. One of the other reasons this investment really hurts is the opportunity cost. I had dialed in my systems where I was consistently able to buy real estate that was getting me 12 to 15% in cash flow. It was getting me an additional 3 to 10% in appreciation. And during those years especially, real estate blew up. Had I put this money there, man, the tax benefits I would have gotten from real estate, the appreciation, the principal pay down, the cash flow, just in the opportunity cost alone, I'm probably looking at $50,000 plus, and a continued loss over time in what I could have invested in that I already knew. Not to mention the fact that then I had straight cash, $65,000 worth that I invested into this business that was just gone, and the way they had it structured, I didn't even get any tax benefits to that. So when I look at $65,000 that would have been invested into real estate and the tax benefits I would have had compared to, hey, this is $65,000 that I straight up paid tax on, that I didn't get any of those benefits, I started adding up all the math, and even though I'd only invested $65,000, this poor investment easily cost me well over $100,000. The most embarrassing part, though, is when people ask Chandler, what was the investment? The name of the business was Hella Rollers.
When everything hurts hella bad,
you need the Hella Roller, an interchangeable and expandable roller system. Hello, Roller.
Actually, what it was is it was a product to help work out your back from cramps and issues. And it looked really cool, had lots of different gadgets. They had this awesome connection in China. They were connected with people that worked at a company that I'm not gonna list, but that had absolutely crushed it with online marketing. And one of the owners of that company had a product that blew up from online marketing, and he was going to be one of the main owners that was gonna help blow this up. There were all of these things where I'm like, holy crap, this is an incredible opportunity. I'm gonna make millions off of it because it's gonna blow up just like these other businesses that these owners were involved in. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years went by, and pretty soon after not hearing anything, I reached back out to them and it's like, yeah, company's bottoms up, you're out of luck. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are taking notes here saying, Chandler, you were an absolute moron the way you handled this investment. And you couldn't be more right, because I was. However, this was a massive learning thing for me, not only because I got too arrogant in the way that I was handling money, but also there are some important lessons that I've always applied to real estate and any other investments that I've made in my life. But because of this emotional connection or this relationship that I had, I ended up making a lot of stupid decisions. And so here are the things you can do to not make the same mistake. Rule number 1, don't invest in what you don't know. Now, this sounds super simple and straightforward, but I'm telling you, if you don't understand exactly what you're putting your hard-earned money into and all the intricacies involved, you should not put your money into it. One of the reasons I'm so passionate about real estate and this community that I've created is I have become a professional at all things buy and hold real estate. I understand it, and I understand it well, and I've surrounded myself by people that also understand it. So if I ever have questions or little things that I don't completely understand, I have quick ways to go and get those questions answered and be able to fix it or tweak it or do it differently, but I understand everything about it so that when issues do arise or I have problems or a new investment is in front of me, I know exactly how to analyze those situations and handle them properly. Number 2, only invest what you can afford to lose, both financially and emotionally. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are saying, Chandler, a $65,000 investment, even with the opportunity cost, that's something you could afford to lose. And that's true. However, the emotional side of it really had an impact on me because this person that I invested with, I really trusted, I respected them, I looked up to them, and I didn't play things out in my head as far as what it would do to me, the way that I viewed them and our relationship when I invested that money. And that was a big mistake on my end, because if someone comes to me and they're brave enough to ask me to invest in them, I owe it to them to do my due diligence. As a matter of fact, if you have a close relationship, I think it's even more important to do your due diligence, because if you don't and you just trust them and things go south, a lot of times that leads to your relationship going south because you've set yourself up for failure. So if you're ever going to invest with friends or close relationships, you have to be in a place where you look at it as, hey, am I comfortable just giving them this money? If I never get anything back, is it going to affect my relationship? And am I willing to take on any repercussions that will happen financially or emotionally? If the answer is yes, then go for it. If it's no, I would politely decline. Number 3, know your expected return, risk, and timeline. And I could not emphasize this one enough, because with this particular investment, I didn't know any of that. I couldn't have told you this is what I think my risks are, or what percentage risk I have that I'm not going to get any of my money back. I couldn't have told you what my best case scenario was for a return. I had no idea on timeline, what to expect, what I even had the right to demand, or how to handle the back and forth with the person that I had invested in. And because of that, I hadn't set up any expectations. I didn't get any communication. And that just made me more and more mad when they came to me and said, hey, money's gone. Sorry, you're screwed. So know all of these things. If you're going to invest money, you should know your best case scenario, your worst case scenario. You should be able to break it all down and say, am I happy or comfortable with the worst case scenario, the best case scenario, and anywhere in between? What are my odds of each of these happening? And does that make me comfortable enough to invest this money? Number 4, trust the operator or be the operator. And this is where I love investing in real estate, because I'm always the operator. I make sure that I am in control of the hiring, of the firing. I know who's managing. I know all of the pros and cons of all of the situations that I could potentially run into. And I've been able to structure it in a way where I can still be pretty passive, but understand everything and be in control. Where alternatively, with this business that I invested in, I had names dropped, but I was completely clueless on who was in charge, how they were in charge, what their plans were, how any of that looked. And this cluelessness cost me dearly. Finally, number 5, run the numbers and then stress test them. And this is something that's really cool about investing in real estate, is I can look at a property and I can say, okay, if everything goes to crap, what's the worst case scenario this is going to have on rents, taxes, insurance, renovations, whatever it may be. And so for me, with my properties, I've done this lots where I've purchased the property and I've said, all right, what's my worst case scenario on rents? And then if something catastrophic happens, what is a good number that I could say is worst case below that? Let's say I lose 20% of my rents. All right. Is that like my worst case scenario in this market? Well, ChatGPT says 10 to 15%. So I'm going to go with 20 to make sure if the worst case happens in this scenario, that I can stomach it. What other issues might happen? If there's a fire, if there's a flood, if there's, some natural disaster, with insurance and with everything else, am I protected to a degree where I'm comfortable with this investment? This is so much more tricky to do with a startup, especially the one I was involved in, because there was so much information they weren't willing to share with me, and they didn't want to share with me. I was just having to blindly trust them and do it at a minuscule percent of ownership of this startup for the $65,000 that I invested. And so once again, lots of mistakes were made. And the biggest reason that was the case is because I was clueless. This kind of business, the way that things work with marketing online and following up with customers and what you're spending on the particular product compared to your marketing, and how that all came into play at that current time in the economy and everything else, I was so clueless. And even now I'm clueless, because that's not my profession. That's not what I've spent thousands of hours getting really, really good at. And so as I look back at my due diligence, the effort I put in, the information I took in before investing this $65,000, I've looked statistically, I've run the odds in my head, and I truly believe that had I gotten in my car, driven to Vegas, put that $65,000 on red once, and then if I won, put it on red again, and then if I won, put it on red again, my odds of success would have been substantially higher than what they were with the business that I invested in. And maybe my odds were better in that business than I thought, but who knows, because I didn't do my due diligence properly, and I have to own that. Also, it really does give me a headache because some days I feel like red 3 times in a row with $65,000 could have actually paid off, where now I know this business was never going to pay off. So these are my rules for any form of investment, but also this is my number one reason for investing in real estate. So if you're on the fence and you're saying, hey, how should I invest or what should I invest in? I know there's so many sparkly objects out there, but real estate investing is a proven commodity, and there are incredible deals on the market right now that when you purchase them, they can deliver 15 to 30 to 40 to 50% returns in your first year if you purchase them right, between the benefits of cash flow, appreciation, principal pay down, and the tax benefits you get by investing in them. And the best part is I've created a community with literally dozens of people that know what they're doing. And me and my team, we know what we're doing. And so it's a place where you can go. You can see exactly how it works. You can know your best case and your worst case scenario. And you can be surrounded by people that are going to be able to help you to make a proper investment, where even if you get the worst case scenario, it's still going to end up being a good investment for you long term. Now, if you can't tell, I am super hyped up on the Creative Cashflow Club. And the reason for this is I've worked really hard to make sure it's the one-stop shop for all real estate investors. Whether you haven't bought that first piece of real estate, or you've already got a couple doors, or you've already scaled to a lot of doors, it's the perfect place for you to get feedback, to get help, to be able to connect with other like-minded investors, to get all of the trainings and the extra tools to accelerate your progression in the investment that is real estate, that is a proven commodity that I've watched help hundreds, even thousands of people set themselves up for an incredible life, retirement, whatever they want, through the cash flow created through their real estate. Once again, this is the cheapest it's ever going to be, and you can click the link in the description and join us. But there is one more thing I want to add to this video, and that is that I have had some serious bitterness, mostly because of the timing of that investment that I made that went sour and that I didn't get a dime out of, and the way that it was handled. But I've had to take a personal L because I'm really unsatisfied with the way that I handled it with that close friend that brought me the deal. So I've made a goal now, after putting this video out there, to reach out to them and to make sure that I mend that relationship, because I know that they knew this business. They knew what the potential was, and they were excited about it, and they were more educated than me, and they really believed it was going to pan out too. I know them and their character, and I know that they wouldn't have sold it to me if they didn't think that it was going to pan out. And unfortunately, it just didn't. And so that's why when investing, make sure on that emotional side, you can be willing to part with that money. And that's one thing I didn't prepare myself with, which was a big L in my part. I shouldn't have set myself up that way. I shouldn't have set our relationship up that way. If I was going to invest, I should have given the money knowing there was a chance I could never see it again, and that wouldn't affect our relationship. So if that person is watching this video, I want you to know genuinely, I get it. It's business. Crap happens. That's what it is. And 100% the mistake is on me, because I should have done my due diligence better. And I really appreciate you thinking of me and trying to involve me in something that at the time you thought was going to be a good thing. For those of you out there that have been burned in similar situations, I think you should do the same, because then you can let it go, but you can learn from it. And that's the biggest thing. I hope that that was the best money that I ever spent, so that I'll never make a mistake like that again. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell. And seriously, I'm so pumped about the Creative Cashflow Club and the community, the people I've already met in there. And so if you're on the fence, this is going to be your last chance to pick it up this cheap, and we hope to see you inside. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.